you're looking to dive into topics on how to live a happier, healthier, more fit, and long lifespan, then you've come to the right podcast. Livin the Dream with me, Coach Damian Evans. Together, we will explore the topics on all things health, fitness, and wellness. Together, we will be lifelong learners on this journey to living the ultimate dream. What up, Dream Team? Coach D here coming at you from beautiful sunny San Diego. And welcome back to the Livin the Dream podcast, where today we're covering training in order to reach your health, fitness, and wellness goals in order to live your dream life. And today we're going to be talking about those of us who are looking to cut body fat. Now, in order to even be in this place, you'll need to earn the right to get there. What do I mean by that? Well, most people who have a lot of weight to lose, they most likely have, over the span of years or decades, moved a little bit less, ate a little bit more, lost precious muscle tissue, became very sedentary in the majority of their day, and then also lowered their metabolic output or burn, meaning that their basal metabolic rate is super low because of their low energy utilizing lifestyle. This is where most lay people refer to it as a slow metabolism or a broken metabolism. And these type of people just want to get the weight off. So what do? They get motivated and they move a little bit more and they eat a little bit less, sometimes more than others. They maybe do a juice cleanse. They eat a ridiculously low amount of food. Maybe they start running, and even though they haven't really been running since college or whenever the last time they ran was. And then what happens once they've done this? Well, they might actually start to drop weight very quickly. Notice that I said weight, but they probably are losing that precious muscle tissue. They're putting stress on their body that will elicit some sort of pushback, and the statistics show eventually they will gain it all back and maybe even more. And the yo-yo life continues. So if this is the common, sad, unfortunate path that most people in this situation take, what should be done before dropping those calories and before moving more and increasing their movement? Well, instead, this person should slowly start to shift their food intake in the form of ultra-processed foods to whole natural foods. At least 80% of the diet should be foods that have one ingredient. They should start increasing their daily movement, but not in the form of high-intensity interval training classes or going out and running for miles and miles and hours, 7 days a week. They should just start increasing their daily movement in the form of steps and what we refer to as non-exercise activity. So taking the stairs, parking far away, taking walks after every meal, moving your body after 60 to 90 minutes of being sedentary, sitting in one position or standing in one position, moving your body every 60 to 90 minutes, and spreading all of that out into an all-day type of thing, trying to get all of that movement spread out throughout the entire day. We call this your NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. If you can spread out movement throughout the entire day, much more beneficial it shows than just doing one large block of time and the rest of your day being sedentary. They should start using their muscles. Use those muscles by lifting heavy things, climbing stairs, going up hills, so that your body can get a signal that strength is necessary and that the muscle tissue needs to be the focus and that your body should hold on to this precious tissue. It's something that we want to create. It's something that we want to hold on to. And then once you're in that healthy place, meaning you're eating a good amount of high quality foods, most people, they don't know what this feels like, but when you get to a point where you're still maintaining your weight, but you're full, you tell your trainer, you tell your coach, I don't know if I can eat anymore. I'm actually so full, but I'm maintaining my weight. That is when you know you're in a good position to do a cut. If you can find consistent, adequate movement habits throughout the day, that's when you know that you're ready for a cut. Then you have earned the right to do what the fitness industry calls a cutting phase or a cut. This is a hard place to get to, and We've gone more in depth on this in the past, and we'll definitely cover it again in the future. But for this episode, if you're in that place and you are ready to cut, if this is a place that you're at and you are ready, then here are 8 things that I would do personally to maximize a cut. Number 1, how to lose 20 pounds as quickly as possible. Number 1, drink 1 gallon of water every day. That's right, it sounds like a lot because it is. Having a high water intake helps aid in performance, recovery, health, digestion, metabolism. You get the point. So drink up. Worst case is you fall a little bit short and you still hit an above average amount. Most people will be like, well, isn't drinking too much water dangerous? Yes, drinking too much water all at once can cause something called hyponatremia. And that right there has been seen, but it's super rare. Can you overhydrate? Yes, of course. But here the goal is not to just drink all your water all at once. Your goal is to sip water throughout the entire day. This has a cascading effect, a domino effect as well. It's not just about drinking the water. When you drink a ton of water, a lot of times you minimize the other caloric beverages that you would have drank in replace. You also move a little bit more because maybe you're going to the bathroom a little bit more. You get up out of your chair and you go to the bathroom, whereas maybe you would have sat through 3 or 4 hours of work without even budging. Proper hydration also allows us to kind of fight some of that midday fatigue that we experience. A lot of times our midday fatigue comes from lack of blood flow. Dehydration is a huge part of that. So make sure that you get proper hydration because it ensures your bodily functions perform optimally. It supports all the processes of the metabolism. And also, I don't know, this is maybe an unknown fact here, but if you drink cold water, it's been shown that can a very small amount boost your metabolism and expend a little bit more energy trying to warm that water up. One of the best takeaway tips that you could do when it comes to drinking water is at night, right before you go to bed, put a glass of water on your bedstand. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you find your mouth is dry, it's nice because you could take a little sip. But mainly when you wake up, you give yourself that inner bath that so many of our listeners and clients have found so beneficial. You chug that water right off the bat. You actually have little microbiome bacteria in your mouth that builds up over the night. And getting that into your digestive system, it sounds really gross, but getting that into your system is actually beneficial. You also help with front loading your water early in the day so you're not having to chug a bunch of water late at night, and that can keep you up when you drink water a little bit too late at night. So carry a reusable water bottle with you everywhere you go. If you find me anywhere, you'll see me with a big half-gallon water bottle. Sip it throughout the day. Some of those bottles even have little ticks on the side that can tell you if you're on track to your goals or not. Some people find that motivating. You could get one of those. Track your intake and just see if you can get a gallon of water every day. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, how to lose 20 pounds as fast as possible. Hit 10 to 15,000 steps per day. 10 to 15,000 steps. Yeah, we say that 10,000 step is a good goal to shoot for. Average American hits 4,000, which is nothing. It's like a 40-minute walk all day long. 8,000 steps has been like a really nice middle ground that people do start to see benefits from. But if you're looking to lose body fat, 10 to 15,000 is a good goal to shoot for. Below 10 usually isn't enough to cause significant fat loss unless you're already pretty sedentary, of course. If you start at a low baseline, 10,000 steps could be a huge increase, which means that you're now putting that extra intensity on your body that it's not used to. You will be burning more energy than someone that had already been stepping 10,000 steps a day. And above 15,000, it just becomes intentional cardio. It's a lot harder to get 15,000 steps in without actually putting in some cardio efforts in there. And it has been shown to have a diminishing return the higher you go. So it seems there is this Goldilocks sweet spot. This range is high. I know. It's effective. It is manageable. It can be done. If you slowly increase from where you're at, 1,000 steps every week, that's kind of going to be the best way to do it. But if you have to lose as fast as possible, just start shooting for that 10 to 15,000 steps. Obviously, this is going to be a stress on the body. You don't want to do this for the long term, but this could be something that can help get you there quickly. Interesting fact about walking after meals can aid in digestion and help regulate any sort of blood sugar spikes that you may experience. Same thing if you eat a really high carbohydrate meal and you do 50 body weight squats afterwards. Using those muscles does help. It has been shown. They have the Levels Glucose Monitoring Company. They have measured thousands, tens of thousands of people who have input their data wearing a continuous blood glucose monitor, and it is shown that it will dampen the spike of your blood sugar when you do physical activity after your big meal. So sometimes this is all that I give clients. I ask them, this is your first thing that you should throw into your routine. Don't do a bunch of exercise. Don't do all of this calorie counting. All I need you to do is take a 10-minute walk after your 2 or 3 biggest meals, and it could be a game changer for you. Use a fitness tracker to monitor your steps and just take short walks during your work breaks. Consider walking meetings. Make sure that you never take the elevator, the escalator. If you're able to take the stairs, park in the back. I always, anywhere that I'm at, even at my own house, I park in the back and I walk the distance. It all adds up. I promise you. If you're wearing a tracker, you don't have to worry so much about knowing if that tracker is 100% accurate, because no tracker is 100% accurate. What you're looking to do is you're looking to find consistency over time. So as you find that your average steps on this tracker is 10,000, that's when you know you can start moving a little bit of things in your life around to get more steps and maybe take it up to 12,000. Is it exactly 12,000 steps when you get there? Probably not, but you know that you're stepping more than your average if you're using your tracker consistently. So hit that 10 to 15K steps per day, number 2. Number 3, how to lose 20 pounds as fast as possible. Cut calories by 20 to 25% from your average calorie intake. Most people cut their calories, but they only cut it a little bit, and they don't see results because they barely drop their intake, maybe like 5 to 10%. That's what you typically see when people cut their calories. And the body does adapt to that pretty easily, which is why I suggest being a little more aggressive. And if you're in a cutting phase, cut your calories from maintenance by about 20 to 25% right away. There are definitely dangers and downsides of doing it this way, especially if you're not prepared for the cut. And it should definitely not be done for more than 6 to 8 weeks at a time. That's like a long diet phase. 8 weeks, 2 months of dieting that's a lot. So it should not be done any more than that. But if you're not even tracking calories, you could just look at your portion sizes. What amount of food do you normally eat? What amount of food have you been eating to maintain your weight? And if you're in a good place for a cut, you know about how much food you're eating to get to that normal weight that you're at. And then just cut it down by a quarter. So take the same amount of food, cut it down by a quarter. If you have a whole plate, you got 3/4 of a plate now, and just 25% less than you normally eat. Creating that calorie deficit is the fundamental piece to weight loss. Yes, there are so many nuanced things in between that, but if you eat more calories and energy than you expend, you're going to gain weight. The opposite is true. There are a lot of variables on either side of that equation, but create that deficit, and a more aggressive approach will probably yield faster results if we're trying to lose it as fast as possible. We've talked about the downsides to that, though, so we'll go ahead and leave it at that. Portion control is essential as well. Cutting your portion sizes helps control calorie intake without sacrificing the types of food you're eating. So even if you do have that 80-20 rule where you're eating 80% healthy whole food diets and 20% maybe be more the processed foods, if you can still cut 25% of the processed foods down, you'll lose weight. Obviously, if you can get all that ultra processed stuff out of there, it'll happen faster and you'll feel better and all of your health markers will improve. But portion size control is huge, especially because a lot of us don't even know what a portion or a serving size is. We've been so skewed in America with our huge helping sizes, our finish your plate, don't leave until it's all gone type of mentality. that it is a little bit hard for us to figure out what kind of portion sizes we really need. So be mindful of the portion sizes and choose nutrient dense whole foods to make the most of your reduced calorie intake. So if you're going to be cutting the amount of food you eat, try to eat foods that fill you up a little bit more. Broccoli has a ton of fiber. It has a ton of filling satiety type of sensations when you eat it, but it doesn't have a lot of calories. Whereas dried fruit, you could eat a ton of dried fruit or cereal or popcorn, and it just dissolves in your mouth, and you could eat that all day long. High calories, easy to eat. You want to go away from that type of food. You want to go towards the food that is more satiety building, making you full longer. Protein does a really good job at this. And we're going to go right into that for number 4. So number 3 is cut your calories by 20 to 25%, a little bit more aggressive than a normal cut from your maintenance. Number 4 is, we probably say this on every single episode. We're going to keep saying it until people finally get it down. Eat 1 to 1.2 grams per pound of total body weight in protein. If I want to weigh 150 pounds, I eat 150 to 175 grams of protein, somewhere in that range. A higher protein diet is extremely effective for increasing the thermic effect of food. It takes energy to digest and break down and absorb that protein. It takes a lot less energy to do that to carbs and fats. Protein is a special macronutrient here, keeping your satiety level higher, your fullness level higher while in a deficit. And then also the big bonus here is that it helps you to maintain that muscle tissue while you're dieting, because protein is the building block of muscle. Those amino acids that get broken down from the protein go into building that muscle. So if you're eating high protein, but you're in a calorie deficit, you're less likely to lose that muscle mass than if you were just to go run every single day for 2 years, 5 miles a day. You would definitely lose weight doing that, but you would lose precious muscle tissue. And as soon as you stopped running or as soon as you changed your diet, you'd probably gain it all back. That's what the stats show. Also, there's no danger here in eating protein. All the fear mongering out there about high protein diets, it's BS. Unless you do have some sort of rare kidney disease or something that's not super normal. So if you're an outlier, yes, there's always outliers, but a lot of people have been told that their kidneys are going to just break down and stop functioning if they eat too much protein. Don't listen to that. I have been researching this for the past 10 years. I've been listening to some of the best people in the field when it comes to protein and muscle building and what they call muscle protein synthesis. And they all agree that it's just fear mongering. And the people that are pushing that, they have ulterior motives. Usually they are invested in some sort of plant-based replacement, maybe like the Impossible Burger or this or that. So don't worry about that. Protein is essential for muscle preservation, and especially during weight loss, it helps to aid in your satiety. Eat protein-rich foods like lean meats, beans, Greek yogurt, all these things, chicken, fish, even things like tofu or legumes. Those can help enhance your metabolic rate during digestion. And plan your meals, all of your meals, around a protein source, especially your first meal of the day. Your first meal of the day should be about 25 to 30 grams of protein if you're trying to get this higher protein amount. If you wait until the end of the day, just like your water, you're not going to have a good time. It's going to be really, really challenging. And as easy as this sounds, this is one of the more challenging things that my personal training clients, the people that I talk to about this have gone under. Getting the enough protein in is really, really challenging for them. It does take a game plan. You can't just hope that you get it. The average American is eating anywhere between 40 to 60 grams of protein a day when we should all mostly be getting up over 100. So number 4, eat 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of total body weight. Number 5, incorporate 3 to 5 cardio sessions per week. If I'm trying to lose 20 pounds as fast as possible, it's probably going to take a little bit extra cardio. You can lose fat without cardio for sure, and it's way more sustainable, but it takes longer, which sometimes, good things come to those who wait. But in my experience, it does last longer if you don't do cardio right off the bat. if you are not in a good place to cut and you do cardio, you could put yourself in a bad position here. So it's all about trade-offs. Do I want speed? Do I want longevity with it? Sustainability? It's up to you. There are also less opportunities for pushback and rebound of your weight when you do it a little bit slower. But it's undeniable that you'll get to your goal weight faster if you put some cardio into your week, especially if done so correctly. So for this topic today, losing weight as fast as possible, I would say adding cardio in would definitely make the list. And we do this in order to ramp up your calorie expenditure. You could do this in the form of steps. I know a lot of people that do one long hike every Sunday, call it empty your tanks. So you do like 5 to 10 miles of hiking, hours of hiking on one day of the week, and then they throw in 2 HIIT interval training workouts on spaced out like Monday and Thursday. Monday, Thursday, Sunday would be a great little cardio split if you could make that happen. It's important to start slow, measure what you're doing, and then slowly ramp up. Also, sprints are incredible here. If you could throw in 1 sprint workout a week, that would be great. Caveat, of course, sprinting looks different for everybody. If you're listening to this right now and you're like, I can't tell you when the last time I sprinted, then sprinting for you might look like a light jog to a Olympic sprinter or even like a brisk walk. It could be going up stairs as quickly and safely as possible and then taking long breaks in between and doing it again. You could find a track and you could do half a lap and time yourself. How long does it take you to get half a lap? Maybe it takes you 1 to 2 minutes to get half a lap, and then you take 5 or 6 minutes in between each one. Another thing that I really like to do for cardio is I like to put a backpack on with weight inside of it. You could put 10 to 30 pounds to 40 pounds of weight in it, and you could go rucking up some hills. I think that this is a really sustainable way to do your cardio. I love that it actually incorporates muscles. It really does increase your metabolic burn, even though it doesn't feel like you're going very fast. Because of the added load, you can do more without adding more distance or speed. So it's a great way to scale. Maybe you put 10 pounds in your backpack for 2 weeks, and then you put 15 pounds in your backpack for the next 2 weeks. Being able to objectively measure your increases is really nice. You can do this in a ton of different ways when it comes to your distance, when it comes to the time, when it comes to your speed. Yes, running works. Running does work, but there are a lot of downsides to steady state cardio and the same repetitive motion over and over and over again with higher impact forces compounding when your form is not correct. And even the best of us, when we get fatigued, our form starts to go. We have a whole episode that I did, almost one of our first episodes ever, called Why Steady State Cardio is Not Great for Fat Loss. And I definitely recommend checking that out if you want to go a little bit more deeper into this topic. But number 5, incorporate 3 to 5 cardio sessions per week. It's going to accelerate your calorie burning. It's going to contribute to that weight loss that you're looking for. It's going to make it easier to maintain your calorie deficit because you're adding in that extra movement. High intensity interval training can be a good time efficient, effective cardio method for fat loss. Just make sure that you do have the adequate amount of recovery and that you start in a place that is where you're at. Make sure that you're not going too hard, too fast. And if you're not in a place for a cut, then high intensity interval training probably isn't the best place to start for you. It can be a place to start. Start with moderate cardio and gradually increase intensity, including enjoyable exercises like dancing, Zumba, hiking, rollerblading, ice skating. Do something that you look forward to that's fun so that it's consistently done. Even the best cardio ever in the world, if there was such a thing, if you don't do it consistently, it's not going to work. Number 6, get 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night. Oh, yeah. You don't need a fancy device to track your sleep. Just make sure that you're in bed, getting a solid amount of rest each night. This number 6 is not sexy, but it makes a massive difference. Quality sleep supports recovery, reduces your stress, aids in weight loss. People that get a good amount of sleep have been shown to, when in a calorie deficit, get their body weight loss from body fat instead of muscle. Those who lack sleep tend to lose muscle in a calorie deficit when it comes to them trying to lose body fat. So sleep can tell the body, I want to lose fat or I want to lose muscle. Which one do you want to lose? Get good quality sleep. Sleep deprivation can lead to increased cortisol levels, promoting fat storage, holding on to fat because of that stress signal that cortisol sends. Establish a sleep routine. Limit your screen time before bed. I know all of you listening to this right now, you watch your screens too late. So do I. So does everyone in my household. We watch too late. So how do we get that to cut back a little bit? If you are putting extra stress on your body by going into a fat loss phase, a cutting phase, then you want to minimize all the other stresses in your life to be able to maximize what's going on. When you're done with your cut and you're bulking and you're going back to your maintenance phase or whatever it is, that's when maybe you can start to incorporate things back in. But get those screens off. Maybe read instead, maybe journal instead, maybe do some light yin yoga stretching right before bed. Talk with your partner and plan out the week or the day that's coming up next. Create a sleep environment that is conducive to good quality sleep. Yoga Nidra is a great sleep meditation that we do right before bed. We've done lots of episodes on sleep, so feel free to tune into those or send me a DM and I can get you the links. Number 7, follow a high protein and high carbohydrate diet. Yes, that's what I said, a high carbohydrate diet, not low carb. People argue that when you're in a deficit, it doesn't matter, which has some merit for sure, but carbs increase activity. Carbs increase your training volume, and carbs increase your muscle fullness and even help with other metabolic processes. So in my experience, this produces better results when you're chasing aesthetics. So if I'm looking to get jacked, if I'm looking to lose body fat and cut up, then I want to make sure that I have some carbohydrates in my diet, of course, healthy, non-ultra processed carbohydrates, but this produces better results when it comes to aesthetics. Now, when we get to the top 1 or 2%, if you're in like a bodybuilding physique show, then we might have to start taking away some of this stuff and really focusing in on low calorie, high protein, low fat, pretty much just low calorie altogether. But that's the top percent. With this strategy, keeping overall calories down will be super important. It's hard to keep your calories down when you have your increase in carbohydrates because carbohydrates, they tend to make people hungrier. If not done carefully, this will cause you to overconsume, and then it won't matter what your macro breakdown is. You won't lose weight or body fat if you have an overconsumption of calories. So it does take a little bit of planning here. Healthy carbohydrates to fuel your training would be things like sweet potatoes, rice, quinoa. There's a new thing on the streets called Himalayan tartary buckwheat, which is supposed to be amazing. I myself haven't had it, but all the experts that I listen to talk about Himalayan tartary buckwheat. Of course, your cruciferous veggies, your berries, berries, leverage those berries, dark chocolate, beans, legumes, and let's not forget to eat this with your higher protein, the 1 gram to 1.2 gram per pound of body weight. It's just really important. Balancing your protein and carbs provides energy for the workouts and supports your muscle function. When you cut carbohydrates all together, you tend to move a little bit less. So yes, I know this is probably a little bit debatable. I know this is probably kind of making some of you a little uncomfortable, but usually when people think of carbs, what they're really thinking of is they're thinking of cakes, cookies, pastas, they're thinking of breads. What we're talking about here is we're talking about healthy, satiety-building carbs, and especially if it's in the form of veggies, if it's in the form of berries, if it's in the form of like sweet potatoes are the moneymaker right here. Sweet potatoes, rice, quinoa, that kind of stuff. And number 8, the last one, of course, resistance train. Hit each major muscle group in your body 1 to 2 times per week at least. Lift slow, lift heavy, and lift close to failure on your last sets. When you get into your last few sets of your exercises, you should be struggling to move the weight. You should be trying to move that weight faster, and it will not move any faster. That's when you know you're getting close to failure. The experts say if you can get within 1 to 2 reps of failure, leave a couple of reps left in the tank. They're talking about technical failure. So as soon as your form goes, like if you could squeeze out another couple reps that were ugly and sheet reps and you're not really using the muscle that is intended, you're using more helping assisting muscles, that is technical failure. You want to go a couple reps short of that. So when you feel your form start to suffer and you feel that weight trying to move a little bit faster, maybe eke out 1 or 2 more reps, and then you know that you've gotten close to failure on that and you've done a muscle building signal to send a signal for stimulus for growth. Obviously, do a warm-up set before you get into any kind of movement that is going to be super heavy. I always like to do a priming exercise that is similar to the movement that I'm doing. So if I'm doing back squats, I'll do body weight, heel elevated squats to really warm up my thighs and start to get some blood flow to the joints. Or if I'm doing chest press, bench press, I will do like kneeling or elevated push-ups where I could probably bust out 100 of them, but I just do them 20 to 25 of them to get the, they call it greasing the groove. So you're kind of getting everything moving the way that it should. You're feeling the form the way that it should go. And that's when you start working into your heavy working sets. But resistance training is going to be super important here, friends, because as you lose weight, as you cut calories, your body is going to try to become more efficient. It's going to first pare down your muscle mass. And so resistance training tells the body to preserve muscle mass during this weight loss phase, and it's going to help shape your body. Lifting heavy singles or triples, meaning you're going for 1 to 3 reps of heavy weight, is a great way to work on strength. It's a great way to prevent a significant decrease in your metabolism, but it does take a little bit of skill to get there. Resistance training can continue to burn calories as well. You'll get this afterburn effect post-workout, which is great. And you're going to want to include compound exercises, bigger exercises that hit multiple muscle groups all at once. These compound exercises could be squats, deadlifts, bench press, pull-ups, bent over rows. Big muscle groups is what you're looking to work on while you're in this calorie deficit. Focus on proper form and gradually increasing your weight. You'll probably, as you get into your later phases of the cut, you'll probably become a little bit weaker. So your weights will have a harder time progressing. But just know as soon as you start to refuel and go back up into calorie surplus, you'll get your strength right back. Remember that sustainable weight loss involves a holistic approach. So all these tips, when implemented together, they can accelerate your progress, but there are always trade-offs when doing things for speed. Even though this is a clickbait title of this episode, as fast as possible, lose the 20 pounds. This should not be like a 3-week thing. This should be more like an 8-week thing. Your calorie deficit shouldn't be more than 8 weeks, but you could prolong a lot of these tips and strategies between 8 and 16 weeks. If the method is done correctly and safely, and if you listen to your body, if you find that you are overtraining, if you're getting super fatigued, if you just feel like trash, then you know this is a signal that it's just not for you. You're not ready. You need to go back to maintenance. You need to start working on all those things we talked about at the beginning of the episode to get you into a better place. And coming out of this cutting scenario, it's just as important as all of the things that we just talked about. Coming out of the cut. After you do a cut, you would want to do what we call a reverse diet, where you slowly start to bump up your good whole food calories. You start to titrate down your cardio. You do not want to immediately go back up to the amount of calories you were eating in a surplus. You don't want to immediately stop all the extra cardio that you were just doing to get those 10 to 15,000 steps, those 3 to 5 cardio sessions. You want to slowly titrate down from what you were doing. And then you find your maintenance food and your maintenance physical activity that just keeps you where you're looking good. You like the way you look. Your body composition wise is where you want it to be. And then you just continue to focus on other aspects of health while living in this maintenance. Most of your year should be in maintenance. You should do little phases of cuts, little phases of reverse diets or bulks. doing this protocol for a few weeks just for like a wedding or a Cabo trip or a Vegas trip, and then overindulging once that trip is done, like that is one of the worst things that you could possibly do. And a lot of physique competitors have experienced this for the first time. They sign up for a bodybuilding competition or a physique competition. They do this really, really intense cut. They get to the leanest that they've ever been in their lives. And then as soon as that competition is over, they go right back to how they were before they even started this thing. And I have seen literally females gain 30 to 40 pounds that were like 10% body fat, gain back 30 to 40 pounds, and then have this yo-yo lifestyle that is just really, really frustrating and really hard to get out of. So you want to make sure that this is exactly what happens to people who struggle with yo-yo dieting and yo-yo weight loss. It's the worst thing you could do. You must go into the cut slowly and go out of the cut slowly. So yes, when it comes to your weight loss, when it comes to your health, your body composition, your fitness, quote unquote, the fastest way possible is usually one of the hardest, or maybe should we say worst, strategies for long-term sustainable health. Don't get sucked into the instant gratification life that we all get surrounded by on a daily basis. Health is one of the things in this world that you can't buy. You have to earn your health and your fitness. Long-term consistency over short-term intensity every single time. Good things come to those who work hard, those who do it through the challenges and the obstacles that life throws at us, and those who delay instant gratification. Do it the right way. Usually the way that takes longer and is more challenging is usually the right way. The harder the climb, the more breathtaking the view. If you have any more specific questions on this topic, send me a message and let me know, and we can talk through it together. And that's it, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me on this Training Tuesday episode of Livin the Dream. Please share the knowledge that you gain with your friends and family and hold each other accountable. If you enjoyed this content, it helps a ton if you could post on your social media stories a screenshot of this episode and include one takeaway that you learned, and make sure that you tag me and share your journey. Tag me at livingthedream_podcast or at coachdamian_SD, and let us know how this episode benefited you. Let us know what we missed. Let us know what we got wrong. Tell us how you have gone on a fat loss or a weight loss big time goal, and we want to know, how did it work out for you? Message us if you have any suggestions or tips that would help your Livin the Dream team that we can discuss on future episodes. I'll be right here with you, working on making us stronger, happier, and healthier humans. Until next time, friends, keep living the dream.